Hi, welcome to my review of the Behringer Model D. I'm going to compare it to my Moog Model D. So it's my Moog Minimoog versus the Behringer Minimoog, and it is mini. There's how big it is. So the perspective on that might make this look a bit bigger than it is, but it's really small. Small but beautifully formed. It's a lovely little thing. Kevin Wilson's loaned me this one for the duration of this review, which is very nice of him. I've been down to get my hands on one, but there's still waiting lists, so this is great. And point of this really is to see what's the experience of using this. There's a couple of comparisons I've seen online where people have played this and they played that and they sound spectacularly close. But for me, it's more about when you've got the instrument in front of you and you're creating sounds, and as you create those sounds, is the creation process the same rather than can you get the same sounds or similar sounds? Because you can do that with lots of soft synths. You can emulate most of the sounds of most things, but this is more about, if this is cloning this, does it really act like this? Well, like most things I do when I start off with a sawtooth, I'm going to start off with a triangle on this just to make sure it's in tune, because the tuning does drift on this a little. And I've just tested it a minute ago, so put them both on the same. Perfect. This does feel more stable than this in a few ways, but I'm not complaining, just noticing. Right, I'll just whiz through these really quite quickly because they are so similar, it's a bit boring. You have less to say when you go, yeah, that's the same, that's the same. They're identical really, aren't they? So let's start making some sounds. I think the first thing I'd do if there's a Moog is try and throw a second oscillator in. Straight away, lovely. So that's perfect tuning. Then slightly detune to get that Moogy sound. What I did notice when I first started playing this, it was last night, and I spent a few hours with it, and I couldn't get my head around when I was adding the extra oscillators, why the sound sounded like it was moving more than it does on this. And it was really just because the oscillators, as you detune them, you've only got to touch it, and with this you touch it just that little bit too much, so you get some phasing when you go between the square waves. And all you got to do is teach yourself not to move it as much, but it just sounded not quite right, and it was annoying me actually, because I thought it can't possibly be bad, and it wasn't, it was me. So it's a minor detune, minor as in slight. Let's have the sawtooth down there. So to all intents and purposes they're the same, aren't they? Let's do a 32 16 8, so a 3-octave fat sound. No difference, not a lot to say, is there? Okay, so oscillators sound identical. As you add the oscillators, it sounds the same as well. So let's now just mess about. As I say, let's try to make a sound, just sort of program on it. What does it do? So yeah, just reducing the filter. And everything I do, even the way where I position these knobs is the same. Let's just put a bit of contour on there, a bit of delay. Quite remarkable, isn't it? I think that's brilliant. So oscillators, you know, it's the same. So let's look at the filters. What you should get with a ladder filter, and they must have done this, otherwise everyone would have been screaming about it, is as soon as you start turning the filter up, you get a drop in the bass. It almost acts a little bit like a high pass filter. So, and there it is. Try it on here. Let's just drop the emphasis back until it stops self-oscillating. Does it about the same as well, just on 8, yeah. It's really remarkable. Let's bring in Sawtooth again then, and what we'll do is just listen to it as we just modulate the cutoff frequency sort of around this point. Identical. That's amazing, isn't it? Let's listen to just some big sweeps. Same again. Let's see if I can do that exactly on this. They gristle and growl in the same place. It's extraordinary. Okay, let's put them on keyboard control so it tracks. Same. Let's add a sawtooth. And now let's detune the filter to play it a bit like an organ. So let's detune it by a fifth. So. This is great, isn't it? Another thing I noticed is if I just detune these so it's a bit out, and you get that little weird growl, which is nice for effects. Just this doesn't happen on other things. which says to me it's not like an approximation, like when you're looking at the soft synths and they sound a bit like it and the sort of it, and you know, and I say this is fantastic, it sounds really like it. I mean, because I'm amazed because it's a computer program, but this, you know, it's hardware, it's voltages going through various components and coming out doing the same thing, which I'm assuming not the same components, but so I wasn't expecting it to be this close. So let's now look at some frequency modulation. Let's modulate things with oscillator 3. Let's just get the sawtooth back. Tuning's a little bit drifty, which is why I keep on checking it. Okay, what I was going to do, frequency modulation, or use oscillator 3. So take control on, oscillator modulation on. And one thing I do love on this is this modulation depth knob, because obviously you don't have the mod wheel that you can leave open, so you don't need another keyboard to do the modulation. Very clever little idea that. Let's put it on a square. You tend to get more dramatic effects with these. Great this. I mean, you're getting an odd little, hear this interaction where the frequencies are managing to sync up at points. I'm not quite doing it with that because, again, brilliant. Let's I mean, they do that. Anyone says, oh, I can hear the difference in those. Of course you can hear the difference. The modulation is not exactly the same, but come on. It's not exactly the same because, you know, as I keep on saying, it's just minor differences in those frequencies. And I'm not going to spend all day with oscilloscopes and the like just to prove what we already can hear. So let's have a listen to the LFO then. I do love the fact that they've both got this LFO, and this has got the square and the triangle as this has down here. They've done it really neatly on this, it's great. Where are we? There you go, there you got an octave. Let's try it on this. Interestingly, the LFO rate there, identical, is on 5, and on this it's just around 2, which means you don't have as much control lower down on this. Let's speed up a bit. I think this is slightly faster. I think this goes from there, 10, and that's already on 10. So that needs an 11 if it wants to go a bit faster, but I could be wrong. It could just be because I can't quite hear what's going on properly. But hardly any difference there, is there? Let's great. Okay, let's do a bit of frequency filter modulation on that. It's all working lovely, isn't it? Try that with oscillator 3, shall we? Move it around to oscillator 3. They even acting the way it works the same way. It's yeah, it is remarkable. We're back to oscillator 3, so it's difficult to get them perfect, but I mean, I don't know what else to test to try and break it. I'm trying to make it so that, oh look, there's a huge difference here, there's a huge difference there, and I've not really found one. I did find one earlier when I had the amount of contour up, and I couldn't quite get this one to stop oscillating slightly. Whether that was because there was another bit of decay on there or something, and I just couldn't get them to sound the same. But I can't repeat what I did. There you go. And that's got that wobble in the frequency there, so let's just emulate that. And that's just because this closes a little bit more. So couldn't get that to go all the way down to this. So you get the idea. So that's the only thing I've noticed that's really different, and it's just that's not closing enough, and it's not an issue anyway. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, let's have a listen to some Overdrive now. Okay, Overdrive. This one sounds softer, smoother, mellower. Now I wonder if, I mean, the original Minimoog didn't have the internal overdrive circuit. So I wonder if there's something in there they've had to put in to do this, and they've had to do similar. So they've not been able to use the original Minimoog schematics to do that. So it's doing something similar. It doesn't sound the same though. It's leaps and bounds above any of the soft synth or anything like that you ever had. I mean, let's face it, some of these soft synths are $100, $150. This is $300 for a real synth. It's staggering value for money, I think. I'm going to just have a little play with some more effects type sounds and stuff, just to see how they really cope with much more complex things, because effects are always difficult tasks to match up. So I'll play some of them, but before I do, I just really want to say I'm absolutely bowled over by the sound of this. I think it's, for the price especially, it's absolutely a bargain and a half. And anyone that any sort of haters of the Behringer stuff and the fact that it's got the small knobs and things, just forget it, man. Get it. It's brilliant. It's an amazing bit of kit. I didn't think it was going to be as close. I was hoping it was going to be good, because I quite like the idea of, you know, advanced manufacturing techniques, and things have moved on since the 60s, and there's no reason why, if you're building a million or something, it can't be high quality. I mean, I've bought boutique synths in the past, or not that long ago really, then I've had to get them fixed and repaired, and you know, doing things by hand isn't always better than doing things by robots, basically. And this is prime example of that. I mean, time will tell if, you know, come back in 30 years. But then again, in 30 years' time, you could have bought 10 of them for the price of that. So, staggered, brilliant, absolutely love it. I think this is shockingly good, actually. So I hope that's been of some use to someone. Probably a lot of use to Mr. Behringer himself and the company. So yeah, congratulations, and it's great that they're now branching out and doing some of their own stuff as well.